we suspect it doesn't really need, there's no real structural damage, but you really don't know that. But you'll see, wires laying around, and furnace, an air conditioner. You don't know if they can use that unit or if you need a new unit. So you can go on and on, So you can see that there could be plumbing. You need to get the old lead pipes out of a 50-year-old house or the galvanized. There's a lead paint issue. There's an asbestos issue. So when you're doing your estimate for those repairs, do you get each one of these specialties and have them come in and estimate what they would charge and add them all up, or do you get a general contractor or a ballpark figure? I want to get something in a way that would be not only realistic, but will minimize the cost of those repairs.
John, you couldn't have said it more perfectly. Anybody else feel like that? Your head is completely spinning. You're looking at this, you're looking at that. Debbie just, REO 4 unit, her first multi-unit acquisition, and I'm not going to say the city. Debbie also, can I just for a minute? For 2.5 years, we've been talking about what it's like to be an investor, and she has been working really, really hard. And I had an amazing career, an amazing job, great pay, but she fired her boss 2 weeks ago. And she's now a full-time investor. And it is, give her a huge hand. It is, it's a really big deal. It's another life, trying to figure out what to do with your time. And I shared with her, I said, when one door closes, another door opens. And she couldn't believe that within 2 days, a broker called her and said, hey, guess what? This property's back on the market. Are you still interested? How much more less? 20 grand less. A 4-unit for $75,000. Ultimately, what did it, 89, 90? Ultimately, 85?
Is what I paid.
A 4-unit,
It was listed as 9.
and what are the rents going to be?
650 to 7.
650.
To 700.
Let's. I'm horrible with math and numbers, so let's just do easy numbers. 700 times 4 is how much?
28.
2,800 a month. Now that's gross, guys. That's not in the hip pocket. Okay, that's gross. Is that okay? How many of those do you need? A couple. One a year. One a year. $85,000. That will bring you $2,800 gross a month. Debbie, is your head spinning? Yes. Debbie, how many times have you called me?
A lot.
When you called me yesterday, what were the first words out of your mouth? I'm really stressed out. I'm trying to figure out this and the furnaces, and I don't know what I need, and what do I put here? Because they got to get the utilities turned on. And I'm not picking on her. Guys, it doesn't matter whether it's a 300 unit or 1 unit. Our heads are going to spin constantly. Why? Because there are so many moving parts to a house and to the transaction. So when you're standing there, what I want you to know, John, is that it's a huge elephant. And you really have to step back, be educated, and what is step 1? If you're standing in a house that John described, did everybody hear the house that John described? So is this house, and we may need to pretend here and role play, is that okay? Is this house we're talking about in your target market? It is. Everybody know what a target market is, right? These are the neighborhoods, the markets that you want to invest in. So it's in your target market. Is it listed? It is. Did you call the broker or the realtor? Did you get access to the house?
No, because there was an offer on it, and the bank was only entertaining one offer at a time instead of collecting several and making a decision.
Okay. So my next question is, why are you still interested in that house?
Because it's got potential, and all the houses around it have been rehabbed, and they're beautiful, and they're selling for 130 right now.
Is it under contract?
I don't think it is. There's an offer, well, maybe an offer has been made, and it's under contract, and there's some back and forth. That's what it is. But I'm just saying, my thing is, if I had a clear shot at that.
Right, I'm getting ready to get to that.
Okay, good.
Okay, I want to, remember, one step at a time,
Right.
right? So now we're leading up to that.
Right.
So now you've decided, have you made the absolute final decision, deal or no deal? Is this a deal to you or is it not a deal? Do you, right here, want to move forward on that house?
Well, I would, yeah.
That's the first thing you have to decide.
Right.
You can't wishy-wash. Is it a yes or is it a no? Right now in this moment.
It's a yes.
Okay, okay, it's a yes. So when you leave here tonight, you've got homework to do. What is his homework, Debbie? He has a house, his head is spinning, he hasn't put an offer in on it yet. He's seen all this stuff, he's seen all the potential, he hasn't gotten into it yet. What does he need to do?
I don't know what would be the first step, but I would, look at what the price is and kind of analyze what would be something that I would feel comfortable making the offer and see if the numbers actually work out, because if the numbers don't work out, it's no point in us to have for a house.
Okay, so let's stop there. Do you know what the comparable after repair values of the houses in the neighborhood are? What are they?
They're anywhere from 110 to 130, some are 137.
Okay, so we're gonna be very conservative on the bottom end,
Right.
say 110, okay? And what is it listed for, do you know?
It's listed at 70, but it's valued at 65. It's been on the market for 743 days.
How many days?
743.
Interesting.
Almost 3 years.
Huh, Almost 3 years.
$20,000.
Okay, all right. Oh, I wish we had a whiteboard.
3 years?
All right, I'm gonna share a formula with you, I want you guys to write this down. It's called MAO, M-A-O, maximum allowable offer. There's a reason we put numbers in at the offers that we do, because this is a numbers game, it's not an emotions game, and you can't allow emotions to play a part of your decision, although it's very hard for that not to happen because we're human beings. So, you know that the ARV, the after repair value, okay, and we're gonna use round number, no, we're gonna use I need somebody to pull out a calculator. You said 110 to 130. So if you're doing the analysis and you see 110 to 130, do you know what houses sold for in the last 30 days, the last 60 days, and the last 90 days?
Yeah, in that ballpark.
Okay, so give me a number that you're comfortable with as an ARV.
Okay, I'd like to go for about 20% below that 120.
No, what you would sell it for.
Oh, I would sell that house for 120.
Okay, all right, so write down 120 on your paper, and that is called ARV, after repair value. Now what we have to do is we have to figure out what the repairs are going to be. And the general rule of thumb has been 70, don't write the word 70 yet, 70%. So you take the ARV times 70%. Now in this market, we're in a very different market. Most of the houses are probably going to need more work, and you need to be more conservative with your numbers. So if you wanted to be really conservative, you could do 60%. Actually, Mary, I'm going to call on you on this one. Mary does a lot with investors. She works with a lot of private investors. Mary, what number would you say would be very, very safe as a ARV repair value that a lender is looking for today?
65.
65%, there's your number, okay? So if you want to be really conservative and you're just getting starting out, you would use 60.
At the cost of repair?
Yep, 60%. No, not the cost of repair. You're doing ARV times 60%.
Right.
Okay, then you're gonna minus out your repairs below that. So, let's stop there for a second. The ARV is what, we said 120 times 60, or 60, let's do 65, times 65% is what? 78,000, so write 78,000 down. And that's right about kind of where it's listed, right?
Right, okay, how did you get the survey, was that 60% of 120?
You're gonna take the after repair value,
Right.
which we said was what, 120?
120,
And you're gonna multiply that by 0.65.
oh, 65, okay. that-
Okay, 65%.
Right,
Your hard money lenders, private lenders, when you're doing rehabs, you might oftentimes hear them say that they'll do 65% of ARV. That's the amount of money that they would lend you, but you also have to have skin in the game today. But that's what they would lend you based on the value of the house. So what is that number, 78,000? And you said it was listed at 75,
it was listed at 70,
and it's been on the market for 3 years.
right.
Okay, what does that tell you right there? Something's wrong, okay? We haven't even taken out the repairs yet. Now, looking at the house, is it totally disheveled, totally in disrepair, or is it what we call lipstick and rouge, which is carpet and paint?
It's in between, it's moderate rehab.
Have you been on the inside? So it's a moderate repair. Any rehabbers in the room? What would you say that a moderate rehab budget would be? And I know this is role play right here. And is this house, let me ask another question, hold on, because this will be dependent. Is this house in our market? Or is it in a completely different market?
It's in Prince George's County.
It's, okay, Prince George's County. Anybody rehabbed in Prince George's County or are rehabbing in Prince George's County? How many bedrooms?
4,
4 bedroom, 2 bath?
bath and a half.
Bath and a half, which probably could be upgraded to a two bath. Today you have to have 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Okay, all right, so there we go. What would you guys say that Prince George's County, 4 bedroom, bath and a half, take it up to a 2 bedroom, without seeing anything, a medium rehab could possibly run you? 40 or 50? 70 or 80?
It's been on the market for 3 years.
60? All right, so we have 40, 50, 70, 75,
20.
20, 80,
15. So.
60, 25, depends. Have to see it. So what does that tell you? Due diligence is critical. This is where you have to have a rehab budget, a rehab sheet, and we have those. We can share them with you. All of our coaches supply them, and it is a very, very simple form that says, does it need a new roof? Yes or no. Does it look like it has structural issues? Yes, no. Does it need carpet? Yes, no. And then you possibly hire someone that is a licensed contractor or is a rehabber. You have them go to the property with you to give you a second set of experienced eyes so that they can tell you what they think the rehab budget is going to be. Debbie was just telling me that on Friday, an inspector that she's already lined up, which I didn't know about, is actually meeting her at this property on Friday. Do you think Debbie's going to attend that inspection, or she's got other important things to do? You need to be on the hip of every inspection that goes on. I learned more about real estate and structures as a realtor by being in every inspection. Could they take an hour? Could they take 3 or 5 hours? Could they take 3 days? Yes. But that's how you learn about this business, so that you can't get taken advantage of. Mary?
Tammy, I just wanted to share with you, I found this little app that wasn't very expensive. It's called iInspect for any of you that have smartphones. And, you know, just before you get serious about something, it'd be a good way for you to kind of take a look and just add up what you think are the amount of things.
Oh, is it a rehab?
Yeah, well, it's just called I inspect. It's as if you were inspecting a property, if you were
But you,
inspecting.
it's like a little rehab
Yeah, it's
budget.
got like little interior, exterior, then it breaks down into, you go in here and you kind of check stuff off.
Oh, wow, how
Yeah.
cool is that? I, just the letter I?
I'll pull it back up again here and see.
All right, guys, here's a very cool app.
Website or-
No, it's an app for
A smartphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it up and let us know what it is.
Get back to it.
I know she's on an Apple, but I guarantee you if you have a Droid or
You'll
any
probably
type of a
have it,
smartphone, you'll probably be able to
It's
get it.
called, yeah, I inspect. And it looks like it's got like a little
The letter I,
letter I and then the word inspect.
and then the word inspect.
Yeah, and you can find it on the app, in the App Store, but it looks like, the icon looks like a little hour, or what do you call it? Yeah, magnifying glass with an eye in it.
Right, but I can share with you that all of our coaches, all of the speakers, all of the individuals that work with us here, we all have the rehab worksheets. But even still, that's awesome, thank you. I mean, that would be a super tool. All right, so here we are. We're gonna role play, guys, because we really don't know. We heard 50, we heard 20. Now, why do you think someone would have said 20? We had 50, 55, 60, 75. Those are all kind of similar. Why do you think someone all the way over here would say 20,000? You think he's being a smartass?
If what he's doing is just thinking, that's it.
He's doing his own You work. say it was wires, I hang around, so this is that job.
What would you say if I said that not only is he an investor, but he's a licensed general contractor? Do you think he can do it for a lot less?
Yeah.
Now, if you're getting started in your budget, it looks like this house is going to be more than what you want. I know for a fact that Brian does joint ventures with people. And so you have the ability to have someone, and we have a lot of other contractors in our organization too, that would love to find investors that find the property. They'll joint venture with them. Their expertise becomes their skin in the game. And so therefore your budget becomes less. That's what my husband did for us. He and I swung hammers together. That's how he taught me. We were doing this on a shoestring budget. So when someone throws out their 20, you say, oh my God, he's so full of it. No, he's not, because you know what? He probably can do it for a lot less. So if you have this property, I'm challenging you, because I know where he's looking, because I know him pretty well. I challenge you to have a conversation with him, because I guarantee you, if it makes sense, he would come look at it with you.
So, if I understood you correctly, what you said, his skin in the game was he'd do it for 20 and he'd have equity in the property, so,
Absolutely.
and then I just paid the acquisition costs, he paid that.
That is all subjective to be worked out,
Right,
negotiated
between
between the two
the two
parties.
of us.
Absolutely. That's why real estate is so beautiful. Okay, so, but we got to finish this formula. So we got 20, we got 75. Let's say we just go straight down the middle. What do you guys want to?
Tammy,
Yes.
before we move on, you had answered a very good question, but we didn't get an answer. You asked, what are the dollar amounts in this area for what we call a moderate rehab? Anything that's not major structure, but it's more than paint, floor, and landscape cover.
Right, and we got 50, 55,
that was
60.
Bigger in the house, yeah.
Right,
Anywhere
20.
from 20 to 80.
Right.
Right.
Could you put a $100,000 rehab into that house?
Yeah.
Easily. That's why your due diligence is so important, to have, and this is the power team. Having somebody like Brian that is an investor, or that is a contractor, or a home inspector. Debbie doesn't know who this home inspector is, but she's gonna go meet him, and I guarantee you she will learn more about that property. And then the next day, she's got a couple people coming in that actually have a little bit more of a different type of an educational background, and they're gonna walk the property with her too and give her a second set of eyes. Okay? You can never do enough due diligence. And if you were to go out tonight and have somebody come to look at this property, and then you submit an offer on it, and usually pulling the trigger on the first property is always the hardest. You're never locked into it because you always have an out. You have an inspection contingency. There's so many contingencies in a board contract, so many loopholes that you can back out. And if you get into it, at least tie it up. If you like it and you've committed to me tonight and everybody in this room that you really want that house, then John, go get it. You can back out, right? And then say, now what's step one? Okay, I did that. Now what's step two? I need to get somebody like Brian. Is anybody else in the room agree or disagree? Or would do it differently?
I hear about people all the time that just throw out deals, like throw out like really lowball numbers just to see if somebody will take it, but I don't think that's very smart, because you could do that, but then you could still get a property that looks nice outside, but it's got a cracked basement, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think that's, but you do hear about it from time to time, and some people have success with it.
Right. So let's take, I'm going to say 45,000 as the repairs. Would you guys agree that's a pretty round number? All right, so now write 45,000 down underneath of the 78, and right next to it write repairs. Now subtract the repairs from the 78,000 and tell me the number that you get. 33,000. Hold on, we're not done yet. In today's market, if someone tells you that the contractor says, or not just a contractor, but you say, oh, we'll have it done in 3 weeks. First of all, it's a little unrealistic. Carpet and rouge can probably be done in 3 weeks. You are going to need to double everything that someone tells you. So if they say it's going to be done in a month, you need to have a contingency backup for 2 months. Anybody agree, disagree? Especially starting out, you want to double everything, okay? So I would immediately add in what I call my fudge factor, my oops, your cushion, whatever you want to call it. What are you using for a cushion?
10%.
10%. Anybody else?
15.
15%? What would you do for a cushion?
It depends on where the property located. So
Okay,
I
see,
say
there's just so many, let's use 15%. So what's 15% of the 33,000? 15% of the 33,000 is how much?
2805.
It's supposed to be 40.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, it's supposed to be 4 something.
Off. Yeah.
452.
4,950. My math is right.
Okay, so 4,950.
4,950.
Okay, and then subtract that out, and you've got $28,050, right? $28,050. Is that what everybody got? $28,050 is your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. So John, the house has been on the market for almost 3 years. The most that I would pay for this house without looking at it based on what you've told me is somewhere between $25,000 and $28,000. That's what the offer would be. And the bank may balk at it a little bit, but something's going on if that house has been sitting there. I don't know if it got caught up in the whole title escapade where houses, because of all the robo-signing and houses weren't able, to get clear title, so they sat and sat and sat. I don't know what the situation is, and that's part of the due diligence that you certainly will have time to be able to do. But if you feel really good about it, that formula stands true all the way across the globe to be able to analyze. Yes, right.
That's your maximum allowable offer, will be your first offer.
Maximum allowable 28. Probably start out at 20. I probably would start out at 20. Anybody else? 20. And John, what's the worst that they can say? No. And what's the worst that you can say? So what? Some will, some won't. Who's next? Who's next?
Let's say, Mac, Bob, one more
Yes.
question. Is this property in Baltimore?
No, Prince George's.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Yes.
For the house that's they're asking 75. What is the likelihood that somebody will look at his face when he offered 20?
That's a great question. The question was, if they're offering 75,000, what is the likelihood that the bank would take 20? Very probable.
They won't tell him to just walk. That they'll be expecting something very close to.
They might. I believe there's something else going on, but this is what I can tell you about what is going on in our market right now. If you understand what has happened in the deregulation and all the Federal Reserve requirements of the banks in the banking industry and how many banks have gone under right now, the banks' hands are so tied, and the regulations that are upon them now are stricter than they've ever been. They have what are called the back of their books. They have so much inventory sitting on the back of their books that banks actually lose investors who invest in the banks, so the banks can then lend us money based on the bad debt, distressed debt, defaulted debt that they have on the back of their book. And they have to clear that out. And so we're coming into the end of the year. We also just passed the government fiscal year, correct? So I don't know what cycle some of the banks run on. Some of them may run calendar year. If the banks are running on calendar year and we're September, are we now into the fourth quarter? Do you think if the banks run on a calendar year that they're going to be more motivated in the next 3 months to drop inventory than they would if it were February or March? Yes. Okay? So this is all part of what you have to find out. I don't know why. I just find it very odd that a house has been sitting there for 3 years. I would love to know what the reason is. That's part of his homework to find out. He's really dead set right now that there's something there, and we have an inner voice for a reason. I want him now to stand true in his conviction and go do it. But you can always back up. And if you never pull the trigger, you never will. And we're here to support you. Ask him for help.
Okay, well, the bank won't take another offer. They're dealing with this one. They have not.
Oh, so let's back up. They have an offer?
No, someone has made an offer, okay, and they won't accept another offer, like they get multiple ones.
Okay.
You know,
So that was what I was asking in the beginning. Was the bank under contract, or was the property already under contract? If the bank is already reviewing an offer,
Right,
you need to move on,
right,
period.
right.
And that's where having lots of other deals, whether you're driving for dollars, whether you're looking on the MLS,
Right.
if you only solely focus with blinders on, only on that one property, you'll never get a deal done.
Oh, I've long since moved on. My
Okay.
question to you was, if I had the green light,
Right.
how do I make sure that contractors are not jerking me around, and I'm getting a good, fair estimate for whatever the repairs that I can identify myself?
By doing your research, but I can tell you even then there's something called unforeseen issues
Oh, yeah.
that always crop up and creep up behind every wall, and they're in every project.
Yeah, that's why you touched that.
And yeah, and they're under every basement and on top of every roof, and they're just these little critters that just magically appear, and they're unforeseen and nobody could ever see them. And yeah, you're right. So you always have use that formula. It's very powerful. Always surround yourself with like-minded individuals and professionals that can help you get the job done. It can be a second or a third set of eyes, because when you're getting started, you can never, ever, ever be more cautious enough. Rick, and I think someone else had a question over here too. Rick.
I'm curious what Brian would have said if the answer had been yes, it is built for him.
Basically, the actual ARV. But if we say ARV of like 130, I'm like, most properties in like PG County ARV higher than 130, usually like 150 to 225 on the low end. That's the reason I was asking, was that?
So that might be,
Yeah.
even more
Yeah.
reason for John to do due diligence, because Brian's saying, I know he does extensive amount of work in PG. He's saying right now the average ARV in PG is 150 to
Minimum 150.
minimum 150.
That's for like a 2-bedroom, 2-1 or 2-1.5.
So,
Unless they're like
the bottom line from
are they
this,
are they like a condo townhouse, or are they straight townhouses, or semi?
No, they're single family.
Single family, yeah, it's more than 130. It's a single family.
but great experience. That's a fantastic formula that you should have memorized in your mind, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Right, Mary?
Yeah.
Right, Debbie? I mean, you never, ever want to forget Mayo. It's just a really powerful formula that will help you along with a rehab budget. Your name?
Amber,
Amber, your question.
my question, what are some marketing campaigns that you recommend for getting your first deal?
Some marketing campaigns to get your first deal.
Meaning to get leads for your first deal. Bring in leads.
Marketing campaigns to get leads to get your first deal.
Yes.
Okay, Anthony.
Oh, no, I was just scratching it
Oh.
for the next.
I thought you were going to answer the question for her. Anybody want to take a stab at this before I do?
I guess it depends on what you want to get out of it, if you want to wholesale it, if you want to buy it and hold it. I mean,
Wholesale.
It all depends on what your exit strategy, I guess, is, right?
Mhm.
So, if you want to wholesale it, then you want to probably find something that's obviously below market so that you can have enough market for
Right.
you to get a bang for your buck and then the person you're going to turn it over to. So, I don't know as far as what you do, I would probably join up with somebody who already knows about foreclosures and reels and that sort of stuff. Get a pipeline for some of those, or, I don't know, what do you think?
Anybody else? Anybody else doing any marketing right now? Debbie, you had your hand up.
I started not with actually sending out letters, but actually contacting a bunch of realtors, and that's how I ended up getting my deal. I mean, a couple of things that I contacted this person about didn't work out, but I continued to have conversations and followed up with these different realtors. And when something came up that met my criteria, they called me.
How long was it before you contacted that first broker on this property before they actually contacted you back?
Let's see, I'd say this was about 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on what they do for marketing? Brian?
Basically, absentee owners, estate sales. probate,
Absentee owners, estate sales, probate. You
Lists, there's all kinds of lists you can buy.
Okay. We could have a 2-day webinar or a 2-day class just on marketing. What I can share with you is that there's all different types of marketing that you can do, and you certainly have to test the different types of marketing that you're going to do. The real purpose of marketing is to create what we call touches, okay? And one touch could be a postcard. Another touch may be a letter with, or an envelope with a pen, an ink pen in it. Another touch may be what we call the yellow letter, which is a tablet, the yellow tablet. The letter is actually written in red ink. It looks like a handwritten letter. We call it the yellow letter. And it basically says, you know, dear John or whoever it is, we're buying houses in your neighborhood. We're interested in selling. Are you interested in buying? If so, please call. And it's all a numbers game. That's all it is. Picking a geographical market or a target market that you want to work in, because you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands on marketing. You can send out thousands and thousands of postcards and letters and touch thousands and thousands of people, and you absolutely spin in circles. I found and do find that you pick one or two, preferably just one, geographical market that you really want to work in. That becomes, as a realtor, is called a farm. It's your target market. And it could be just simply a neighborhood, because they need to hear from you, see you, get to know you, and eventually they call you. The only reason that a property owner is going to sell is only because of two things: time and circumstances. That's it. The time of their life, what is going on right now, and what are the circumstances surrounding what is going on. You may send, what is your name? Steve. You may send Steve a letter 6 months ago. He has absolutely no desire to sell. Wasn't even thinking about it. Your letter goes in the trash. You send another letter to Steve the next month. Nothing. Letter goes in the trash. Now you send Steve a really big fluorescent orange envelope with a pen and a notepad. It still goes in the trash. But he just found out that his wife is now going to be relocating with her job to the other side of the country, and they're possibly going to have to move. So he says, if this goes through, maybe we have to sell. Now he takes your magnet and he puts it up on the fridge. But he's not for sure yet because his wife doesn't know yet. Another month goes by and you're like, oh my God, my phone's not ringing. What is going on? This real estate stuff doesn't work. They said this, they said that. This just doesn't work. It's like Babe Ruth. How many times did he not hit the ball before he finally hit the home run? So then you send another letter to him. And he says, hey, I remember this. They're the same colors. It's called branding. Same colors, the same logo, whatever it is. And he says, you know what? This really looks like it's going to be happening. I think I'm going to call her. Well, it's already been 5 months now. Normally it takes between 5 to 7 touches for a seller to respond to you. Not 1 or 2. You may get lucky, but normally it's 5 to 7 touches. You have to decide what those touches are. Are they postcards? Are they the yellow letter? We are so blessed today to have social media. Do you have a website? Do you Twitter? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you, I mean, we could just go on and on and on about social media. Facebook, all of those different types of resources that you can get hooked up with. So you have to decide, A, what market you want to work in. Okay, that to me, and somebody else may say something different, that to me is the most important. Otherwise, you're going to spin out of control. What I will now personally share with you is that I licked and sticked more envelopes with my husband that we printed off of our printer every Sunday night to put in the mail every Tuesday so that they would get to the mailboxes by Wednesday or Thursday, because if you study statistics in the post office and mail, and if you go home and watch this, you'll get the least amount of mail on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And it's usually junk mail. You'll get the most amount of mail on Friday, Saturday, and Monday. So when do you want your mail to get there? Also, if you use a standard envelope and you use a stamp on everything and you use a label and you don't handwrite it, it becomes very impersonal. And if someone is in distress and you want to find these distressed homeowners, right, and try to find these houses that maybe they would sell for undervalue, what else comes in the mail in a regular size envelope? Bills. It's going to go in the trash. So very odd-sized envelopes, colorful envelopes, postcards. You need to be different. You need to set yourself apart from what everybody else is doing. You don't have to spend a lot of money doing it, but you have to create a campaign. And that's one way of marketing what you're going to do. Now I'm going to share you personally what that did for me. I spent a lot of money, a lot of time. I still have a lot of that stuff still sitting down in my office. What I learned over time that no one took the time to share with me is that going to meetings, networking, building relationships consistently until you can't do it anymore is where you will find most, if not all, of your leads. Because this is the type of an environment where real people are doing real deals and have those deals. You can send them all out, been there, done it. And I will tell you, statistically and historically, if you look at all the numbers, direct mail has the greatest response rate. And it still does today. But it's expensive. So if you're just getting started out, and I was on a shoestring budget, kid you not, I ordered postcards that were perforated that we would literally tear and do in black ink. I mean, we're talking major shoestring. But today, it's all who you know. you know, and I eat more tomato basil soup in a bread bowl at Panera. I eat more Swiss cheese and ham cheese quiches, more coffee from Starbucks, because I have more meetings. That's all I do, is meet people, network with people. And it's not always to tell them what I want. It's to find out what they want, because the more people you can find out what they want, and then you send them an article, or you reach out to John and say, hey John, you know what, I just found this really, really cool rehab spreadsheet. Let me send it over to you. It's called the law of reciprocity, and as a human being, not to talk about holidays, but let's just take, you know, the Christmas time that whole holiday between, you know, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year, that whole thing. Anybody in this room ever get a holiday card or a Thanksgiving card and opened it up? Did you feel in that moment the need to reciprocate because you didn't send them a card?
Yes.
Anybody ever felt that way? How many of you get birthday cards handwritten in the mail from family members, but you don't send them out or remember? Right? It's the law of reciprocity. So when you're meeting with someone and you take the human element into it, you're marketing yourself. And there is no greater marketing on the face of the earth than networking with another human being. Hands down. Anybody else have any other ideas? Agree, disagree? Anthony?
Oh, on the same subject?
Whatever. Whatever.
I thought, I had another question.
Okay. Okay, bring it on.
Okay, well, when I first got into the real estate business as an agent, I was working with banks. And they were good repeat customers. That's what I love about banks, repeat customers. And I would list their properties. But I know now that you have a number of investors that are buying chunks of houses, like 5% at a time from the banks,
Bless you.
at, you know, investor-friendly prices. I want to get in on that.
Okay. That's a great question. He wants to get in, and you're seeing a lot more of that in the last couple of years, where banks are offering what are called tapes. It's called a tape. Why? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And it's just where they will take a string of houses, sometimes in a geographical area, sometimes not. Sometimes it might be 5 or 10 houses. Sometimes it's 200, 300, 400 houses. And they say, all right, we're going to sell this tape for $2 million. And it ends up being 200 houses. So you can go out and raise money. You could buy the whole thing and then you wholesale them out. You can discount it down. You can buy the notes. There's so much creativity. Anybody ever done any tape buying, note buying, anything like that? Okay. Very, very creative. There are realtors, okay, investor agents out there that are doing that. One of them I know specifically is in Anne Arundel in Baltimore area. His name is Tom Black. He's a great friend of mine. I actually would like to get him to one of our next meetings. He's able to get a hold of a lot of these different types of tapes. And what I have found, believe it or not, even here locally, because a lot of the local banks, the local community banks that are here locally, they still have these distressed assets too. Okay?
Excuse me.
God bless you. Slavi Federal up in Baltimore. Okay? They can't invest anymore in the city. They're only allowed to invest in the county. Why? Because they got caught. That's Tom Black, yes.
Okay.
Because they got caught with so much inventory from investors when the market crashed in Baltimore City. I bet, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet if you walked in to Slavi Federal, one of their branches, and asked to speak to one of their residential asset specialists and sat down and said, look, I'm interested, myself and a couple other investors are interested in buying 5 or 10 houses on a tape. Do you have anything in your inventory? Maybe they don't, but maybe they know someone who does. I had a phenomenal conversation with Mike Tagg at Slavic Federal. I haven't talked to him in a few years. And I called him because I'm refinancing our big apartment building in Baltimore. And I had heard that they were lending. And he says, Tammy, no, we can't go in the city. And I happen to be right in the city, but right outside of the city. And he said, no, we're not doing it. But why don't you call, I don't remember the names, why don't you call Jack at this bank? Why don't you call so-and-so at this bank? I haven't talked to Mike in several years. It's all about the relationship. But when I call Mike, do you think that the first thing that I talk to Mike about is the money? No. Write these 4 letters down. F as in Frank. Directly underneath of it, O. Directly underneath of it, R. And directly underneath of it, M. When you are building relationships, talking to individuals, the very first thing that we're going to talk to them about is, what do you think F stands for?
Family.
Family. There was no hesitation in that. Why is that? What is the most important thing in all of our lives? Family. I see smiles in the room because of the word family. Who has children? Mary, how old are they?
26 and 23.
What do they do?
One's a teacher and the other one's still finding himself.
I have 2, well, sort of. All right, who else has got kids? Yeah, how old are they?
4, 3, and 21 months.
Wow, so you're just getting started? Yeah? 3.
Oh my goodness.
4, 3, and 21 months. But do you, who else has kids? Anthony.
17-year-old girl.
17-year-old girl. Wow. Wow. I have a 25-year-old daughter who is a lieutenant in the Army. She's in Afghanistan right now as we speak. I have a 24-year-old son who's with Special Forces out of Fort Bragg. If you ask me to talk about my children, do you think I'm going to go on and on and on? I am one very proud mama. But I'm just using this as an example. Anytime that you sit down and talk to someone, what is your name? Larry. And I introduce myself, Tammy Phelps, pleasure to meet you. So what brings you to the Real Deal tonight?
Looking to create a stream of passive income so that I can, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, look to leave my job to spend more time with my 4, 3, 21 months.
To spend more time with your family. Now, this is what happens in the real world. You're so worried about what you're going to say to him, you did not hear what he just said. He said, family. He is here because he wants to spend more time with his family. We have 2 of these for a reason and only 1 of these for a reason. So, tell me a little bit more about your family. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 girls,
3 girls. He's smiling. Really? How old's the oldest?
4 years old.
Yeah? Is she in school yet?
She's in preschool.
She's in preschool. So she's a big sister.
She is.
Wow.
A good one.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Does your wife work or is she able to stay at home?
she works.
She works. Wow. So here you are working full time. Your wife is working full time. You get home. It's probably the witching hour from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock to get dinner done and then to spend time with the kids and then you have to do it all over again, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And it starts to get really, really tiresome.
It gets old quick.
And I'm sure with becoming a dad, you realize some of the things that are the most important in life are being able to spend time with them, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Guys, these are the types of things that now I've broken the ice and I've talked about something that was very important to him. But what if you don't have children? What if you don't have siblings? You know, what if you don't have family? Family can be defined as many, many different things. There's people in my family I'm not